when I've already sort of put one record out, invariably I start to have those feelings again, and I want to put out these emotions into music, and I start generating the odd song on a napkin, on a little piece of paper, on some manuscript, a little voice recording. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'm getting inspired while I'm sitting in front of my computer or something like that. And then about maybe 5 months before sessions are going to start, I wind up with this big stack of papers, and I have to go through it. And it's really a journey. I'm looking at myself, really. I'm looking at, it's almost like a diary in a way, but there's no continuity to it. I'm writing, like the stuff I played, you hear stuff that's in different keys. Some of the stuff is swinging, some of the stuff is straight. It could be on 7 different albums, let alone one record, or by one artist. And my job then is to go through maybe 40 or 50 songs and to see if I can bring it down to maybe 25, let's say. And if I can get it down to that, I might start to think that I can see a direction that I've been going in. Like maybe I'm going in a real swinging direction. Maybe I'm going a direction where I just want my guitar to be very distorted or very clear. I'm always surprised by it, because I'm telling you the truth. I don't pay any attention to the direction when I first start writing. It's really freeform. So then I get it down to about that 25. I try to edit it down to 20 to see if there's even a slight chance of cohesiveness. But I'm not really thinking about what the record could sound like. Let's say as a producer, I'm not even thinking about that yet. Big guitars, small guitars, reverb, no reverb, whatever the fad might be that I'm going through at home. I'm not even thinking about it. The next step is really to make some kind of demo of each of these songs, to get my friends to come over and to shred them to pieces in front of me. Which is always a good, it's a good head check to get guys like Jeff Campitelli or John Cuniverti, who I've been making records with for a very long time, and to see what they think, because, let's face it, if there are guitar players out there, there's stuff that's fun to play that's not fun to listen to, right? And it kind of drives us crazy because we're working on something and it's great, and you go to your best friend, hey, check this out, and they look at you like, well, so what, And no matter how you explain it to them, you go, yeah, but look at this, my finger's over here, and I'm lifting my leg, and they don't care. So it's, everyone falls into that, and the guitar is very seductive, and the sound of it is beautiful, and before you know it, you might be playing a song that's fun to play and not fun to listen to. So anyway, so I get those guys together, and I find out what they're refusing to work on, and then the songs that they like. And most of the times I like most of them, and I get a lot of encouragement. They come up with some interesting ideas from a production point of view. And I try to bring in, let's say, 15, 16 songs into the studio, and then we'll probably find out that 2 of them are a dead end, and then I try to make it down to maybe, these days we try to keep it at 12 or 10 songs like that. And I think that's when the record suddenly reveals itself to you as a very strong, potent group of songs that's pointing you in a particular direction. It's a very exciting moment, but it kind of overcomes you rather than it being part of your design,
The album's entitled Professor Satrifunculus and the Mysterion of Rock. Joe, what exactly is a mysterion, and how did such a being ever come into existence?
Okay, all right, so the mysterion is not a thing, right? It's more like an it. So when I wrote that song, Mysterion, it was really called It's a Mystery, and that's how it started out. And it actually had some notes on it about some voicings, and it had a little drawing of a scary-looking man, of course, which I do quite often, as you can tell, right? Can't stop myself. So that was the little piece of paper that I found on my pile one day, and I'm looking at it like, okay, what's this, And but as I wrote the song, I thought, well, this is very interesting, and I don't know what it's about really, but it's something I'm trying to reveal, some kind of secret. So I actually wrote the song on the piano, and I wrote the solo section on the piano, and I want to divert from one section to say that I did write a solo section that has 4 minor keys descending chromatically, which I'm sure if you ever went to music school, they'd probably tell you never do that. Always go up, never go down. But I like to go the other way, so I went down on purpose, But it's fun to play it, and I think it adds to the mystery of the song. So I took that artistic license from the title. But then, this is where the real story develops. Before I lay down the melody for this thing, I'm really just working on the melody in my head. So I'm building a track, I got the rhythm guitars, I've done the keyboards and the bass, I'm playing some V drums behind it before Jeff gets to it. And I'm thinking, all right, what about this word can I get something more out of? So I started to look up the word in dictionaries. I went online, I started to look at it, and I come across this word mysterion, which is a very old Greek word, and according to things that I've read, it was used to cast aspersion against false prophets and all the things they were spewing to try to get people to believe in their God. And then about 2,000 years ago, the Apostle St. Paul gets into Greece, he's spreading the word, and he takes that word and he uses it in the complete opposite way. He says, the only way you're going to understand these words of this new gospel is if you get the mysterion, if you're touched by the divine. And then once you're touched by the divine, that unlocks the secret of all these stories in the parables. And I thought that story in itself was so interesting that somebody who doesn't know how important he's going to be later on in the history of the world takes a word that means something dark and he changes it into something light. And I thought, this is the coolest word ever. And then, to add to the confusion of it, when the New Testament is translated into English, they do it wrong and they use the word mystery. And of course, here in America, when we see the word mystery, it means something that will never be solved. It's unsolvable, which was not what he had intended. So the word started to get more controversial and juicy and interesting for me. And in a funny way, this is the longest explanation ever, I know. Okay. But I spend a lot of time in my studio by myself, as you can tell. But in the end, I thought, well, okay, this, in a funny way, this is just between me and the hardcore fans. They're gonna use this word as sort of like when people say, "What's up with that Satriani guy? I don't get it." And they'll say, "Well, it's because you haven't been touched by the mysterion. If you had been, then you'd figure out what he's playing." Okay, that's when you need the rooftop.